Hey friends, it's Abigail of VC. Welcome back to Judgment Free Zone. We need vulnerability and empathy now more than ever. I hope you are able to find room for more curiosity, self-compassion, and empathy for yourself and others while you're here. I show up so you can too.
Hi, I'm Abigail of VC. And welcome to Judgment Free Zone. I'm your host, Abigail of VC. And this is Hannah.
Hello.
My best friend.
My best friend. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited to do this with you.
No, me too. So we're allowed to talk about that. It's my first one, but it might not be the one I post first.
Yes. Yeah. So this is the first recording that you have done for your podcast.
For my podcast. And I've giggled a lot. And I don't know what I'm doing. But it's cool. You know, you got to start somewhere. And who better to do it with is my best friend.
There you go. And there's a quote that I use all the time. Imperfect action is better than perfect procrastination. So just doing it.
And not only that, on my vision board, it says better to do something imperfectly than to do nothing perfectly.
Yep.
Kind of goes
hand in hand.
Hand in hand. And today we're going to talk about self-care.
We are.
Specifically misconceptions around self-care and what that looks like for us. So how has your journey with self-care looked, Hannah?
So I didn't regularly start practicing self-care until the last couple years, maybe. And it stemmed from watching my mom growing up, watching her put me and my siblings, my sisters, especially my sisters, because I'm 8 and 11 years older than them, as you know. And, so they were little and I was a little older, and I watched her just really dedicate all of her time to taking care of them and taking care of us and taking care of the house. She was a stay-at-home mom. And I just saw her not have many friends. And the friends that she did have lived far away, and they only got together. I mean, I think they didn't see each other at one point for 10 years or something like that. And I realized at some point that I just didn't want that for myself. I wanted to, take care of myself and be fulfilled. And my mom and I mean, we've talked about this before. She's like, I wish I would have done things differently when you guys were younger, so I had more now. Now she's, we're all grown up and she's just working. So I knew that I didn't want that for myself. And so it started really with me and you going to Disneyland and going on girls' trips. Those were the first few things I did that I really prioritized myself and said, usually people take their kids to Disneyland. And I went to Disneyland with you, I think 3 times before I took Amberly her second time.
Yeah.
And that was my journey to self-care, knowing that I watched one thing growing up and I didn't want that for myself and did it differently.
Yeah. I think for me too, when I first started really even knowing what self-care was when I was doing the group therapy work. And they told us in our dailies, which dailies are your physical needs, spiritual needs, emotional needs, and relational needs. And for me, self-care came a lot with relational, for sure, getting that emotional connection. And I didn't understand. To me, it was self-care meant I had to spend money.
Yeah.
And I was a single mom at the time. So I didn't have the money, and I really struggled. And I wish somebody was able to sit down with me and talk, would have told me about these misconceptions.
Yeah.
That it doesn't need to be me going to Disneyland, which are great ways to do self-care.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly you and I both do a lot of self-care at Disneyland.
Yes.
But that doesn't need to be exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
And
totally.
That's something that I posted, recently on my Instagram, was sometimes self-care really does mean waking up and making yourself breakfast.
Yeah.
If that's something that you're not doing, food is so big
Mhm.
into how we feel, think, and do things. And if we're not taking care of our bodies that way, and if you're not even noticing if that's something that like triggers you,
Yeah.
like it's a great way to start self-care too.
Totally. That was, I know all the self-care that I do now, most of it is just at home, free. Like it doesn't cost me anything, putting Amberly to bed 10 minutes early so I can just chill, literally one that I do when I go pee, I just lock the door, shut the door, and I just sit in there for a few extra minutes.
Right.
And like Amberly knows, when the bathroom door is shut, just stay out.
Yeah.
And half the time, I'm in there just sitting there because I just need some space.
Right. Those boundaries.
Yeah. And
Right.
Boundaries are self-care.
Oh, absolutely. If you let people walk all over your boundaries, you
Yep.
are not having respect for yourself.
Yep.
Which is huge self-care.
Yep. So that's a huge misconception that self-care is this, getting pedicures every week and getting massages and going on trips and all those things. But it's so much more than that. You can paint your own nails at home.
Mhm.
You can wake up early and curl your hair. Like those are all pieces of just taking a few extra minutes to take care of yourself.
Right. Well, and I think like going back to like what you said about your mom too, like my mom growing up in religious homes.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people have this misconception about like you have to give yourself in that time.
Yep.
And I think that like now that we're learning like, oh, there's like those are bad habits to create, like sure, give, but if we're not giving from a place that like we are not expected to,
Mhm.
it's going to create resentment,
Mhm.
which is again like these boundaries that are getting like crisscross and sideways.
Yep.
And I'm actually able to give more and at a loving place when I'm taking care of myself and having those boundaries in place.
Yeah. Well, you want to, because when your cup is filled, that's like what people say.
Right.
That's what people call it. When your cup is filled, you have more to give and you have more to pour over and you have more to do, and you do it from a place of genuinely wanting to and not feeling like you have to because you're a mom and you have to do these things. And I like to think of self-care as sometimes it's as simple as putting your needs above other people's wants.
Even your kids.
And maybe your kid wants to do this with you, but you really need to take a really long hot shower. But
even going back to the bathroom thing.
Yeah.
Like seriously, I have so many times, like there was a situation specifically, we were driving to California with the kids and I had to go to the bathroom so bad. And because I work so much on like my emotions and noticing things in my body,
Mhm.
like I had to go to the bathroom so bad and we pulled over and I let them all go first. And I was like in a bad mood afterward.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I was irritated,
Mhm.
but they, of course, all the kids, you say you have to go to the bathroom, they're going to want to go to the bathroom too.
And they're going to pee their pants in 2
Right.
seconds.
But it's like, no, like I
Yeah.
needed to go and like it's just the same things we hear all the time that we don't do, like put the oxygen mask on you
Yeah.
first. Like there
Yeah.
was no reason, like I couldn't have gone to the bathroom first. Like my needs are just as important as theirs, even
Mhm.
though they're my kids. And I should do that.
Well, and at the end of the day, your kids are going to move out in 10 years.
Right.
Your youngest are 8. They're going to be gone in 10 years ish,
Mhm.
And then you have the rest of your 40, 50, 60 years, however old you live to be. Like,
Right.
So if you spend all this time, and that's something that I just was talking about on my Instagram recently, because I've had people that are like so into being moms and that's so important to them and giving to their husbands and their kids. And that's just like their top priority, which that's your thing. Like that's your thing. But I just genuinely asked, like, I want you to think about what happens when your kids grow up and you've been a stay-at-home mom all these years, or maybe a work from home mom, or maybe whatever, but you haven't created relationships and friendships with people, or you haven't had a hobby, or you haven't had a little side business or something for you. Like you have to have something for you. I think you have to.
No,
People would disagree,
really,
but I think it's really important so that way you still have yourself, you still have things that you enjoy.
Well, and again, and my personal, obviously, opinion is that if there are people that are fighting against that, it's not it's more something is coming up for them. Not that that's really not the case.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we can see in people's bodies when something is poked. And if I'm telling you that the misconception of like hearing that your family or kids isn't as important, like that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They are just as important as you, but you need to be taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
To be able to give all you can to those people in your life.
I was just telling my mom and sisters in Amberley the other day that I love all of them so much. I have 2 sisters. You know this, Abigail, but your listeners don't. But I have 2 sisters, and my mom and my 2 sisters and my daughter Amberley and I live together. And I was telling them the other day that I love them all so much. They are like literally the favorite, my favorite people in in the world, you know, and you. But and I would tell you this too. I love you all so much, and I want the very, very, very best for you. But if it's gonna come at a cost of hurting my mental health, I have to live with myself 100% of the time. My mind is with me, and I am my mind 100% of the time. So if I'm uncomfortable or stressed about something, like I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna bring it up, and if that makes someone else uncomfortable, I'm like, that sucks. I'm sorry. I don't want you to be in pain. I don't want them to be in pain. I don't want it to hurt them. And it never comes from a malicious place, obviously. But you have to put yourself first in a lot of ways, so that you don't hold on, because then you build resentment and you build, you know, a grudge against people, and then you're miserable, and then they're miserable.
Yeah, but the worst thing that you can do is deny yourself. Like at the end of the day, I tell my kids the same thing in a different way. It's like, you're the one who goes to sleep with you at night. Like you're the one that's left with you. And if you're not taking care of your needs and asking for your needs to get met, then you're hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Like it is. And I say the same thing about emotions too. And that this all is self-care.
Yeah.
And like boundaries go hand in hand with self-care at the end of the day. Like it just is what it is. But if you are only in control of your emotions. So if I'm upset with you and I ask you if you're upset with me because I feel like you are, and you tell me no, but you really are,
that's on me.
And I did my due diligence. Like I said, and tried to bring it up and talk to you, and that's all I can do. And hopefully, obviously, you and I wouldn't. But in the case of teaching,
we have learned to communicate very well now. But
absolutely. But it takes time, and it's hard. And, you know, you and I still have hard conversations sometimes that make me feel uncomfortable, but we do it because we love each other and we care about our relationship.
Exactly. And that's something that people, you know, if you're listening, I hope you're understanding where we're coming from, that, you know, self-care is about, I think self-care is just about really truly learning how to listen to yourself, listen to your needs, trust yourself, love yourself, know what is important to you, know what you deserve, know your worth, and be able to be a model. Because I think of self-care too, when I'm practicing self-care and when I'm putting myself first, that teaches Amberly that she can do that too. That teaches her that she is important and she deserves to be treated respectfully, and she deserves to have boundaries and set them and enforce them, you know, like I'm modeling what I want her to learn and what I want her to do. And people don't, you know, that's another misconception. People think that self-care is selfish, and in some ways it can be, but not in a bad way. You know, it's very much so you're taking care of yourself, but it's also teaching the people around you to take care of themselves too. Like, and it's, my mom's watched me, you know, really practice self-care a lot, and she's been better at it too. And, you know, having hard conversations and putting herself first in a lot of ways and setting boundaries because she's watched me do it.
Absolutely.
And Amberly's going to learn, and my sisters are learning. And, you know, it benefits. It's such a trickle effect. It goes out to so many people, not just you.
Yeah. And just with that, like, just to be an encouragement to people older or younger, like there's no like right or wrong time to start. There's no need for it to look this way. Like things are going to be messy when you start, and it's just starting to notice what you need and what that looks like for you and what it feels like in your own body, and remembering that, with self-care, boundaries, all of that stuff, it's never to control someone else.
Yeah.
It's all about self.
Absolutely.
So whether that's I need a break from my kids because I'm going to freak out, that's something you can control. You know what I mean? Like, you're not controlling to get away from your kids and hurt their feelings for stepping away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're like, you got to check in with your motives. Am I stepping away because I want them to hurt?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if I am stepping away because I don't want to hurt them,
right,
like emotionally.
Right. Exactly.
So.
And it can be, just some ideas for self-care too, like talking about earlier, how we were saying it doesn't have to be, it's not always this big expensive thing. Meditations, you can YouTube meditations. We did one this morning.
Timer, we did one. Insight Timer is my favorite meditations
app, right?
It's an app, yeah. And my kids love it too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we did one out on the trampoline this morning together.
And it was so nice.
It really
was. That's self-care. And we invited the girls to come and they didn't want to, and that's fine too. But if they had, like, that would have been awesome also.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also okay if you need space from your kids and you
take that time
and
alone.
You need to do it alone for, what was it, 15-20 minutes or something like that?
Yeah, we did a 15-minute one.
Yeah. And, meditations are great. Even just like, stretching, if you find a 10-15 minute YouTube yoga video and do that. Or my favorite is I write out not everything I'm thankful for it, but every morning I write out 3 to 5 things I'm thankful for, and I'm really intentional with it. And it's 5 or 10 minutes, but it just sets my day up for it just makes my day so much better.
Yeah. No, definitely.
There's a lot of really simple ways. And I know you talk about it on Instagram often. I talk about it on Instagram often. So if you're listening and you need self-care ideas, then you can head to both of our Instagram accounts.
Yeah.
And
you can find Hanna with Hanna Noel.
Yes. And
obviously mine
in the show notes.
Yes. At Abigail Lavisi. But yeah,
I think that summarizes it pretty good.
Me too. If you guys need help, reach out. I'd love to help. I'm setting up mentorships.
Yes.
Surrounded around setting up boundaries, which go into self-care and all of those things. And Hanna's all around abundance mindset.
Yep.
Love to support.
So if you need, if you feel like you have blocks in your life or something's holding you back, like, I can help you figure out what that is and change it so that you can live more abundantly. And Abigail, with your boundaries and with, all the things that,
clearing out some shame and negative self-talk.
Yeah.
Figuring out where those voices are coming from within yourself, getting deeper into the past.
Yes. And working through that.
And working through it.
So it doesn't hold you back anymore.
Not at all. So thank you, Hanna.
You're welcome
for coming, my bestie. And thank you all for listening.
All right.
Have a good day.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Thanks, friends, for listening in. If you found this helpful, please subscribe, share, and leave a review. If you'd like to be more involved in our community, hop over to Instagram and find me at Abigail Lavisi. Keep showing up. I will too. See you next time.